Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for match number 2 of the day. I'm Mac, I'm joined by Skimmy, I'm joined by Rusty, and they're going to be bringing you all the action for Order taking on Pentanet, which is going to be the second match of the day, and I'm extremely excited to see which way this one goes, because Order have been looking good, Pentanet looking probably better, but they've also looked a little bit rough at times. So let's see how seriously they take Order going into the matchup today.
I think you have to take it serious, right, as well. Order have shown already that any mistakes, you know, any lapses in judgment, they can punish you. And they've also shown that once they get a lead, they're actually devastating to play against. So I think you have to take it very seriously. I think you actually kind of have to play that calm, collected League of Legends to really be able to take them down. And, you know, Pentanet are a team that can do that. The question is, will they do that?
I guess, yeah, I mean, for... Oh, well, go ahead, Mac.
No,
Tell me.
No,
I'll become the host. What do you think about that game, Mac?
I thought the last game was great, but this game I think is going to be even better, and that's my quality analysis. That's why they call me Mr. Sinjuves. What I want to say is both of these teams, right, they are extremely mobile and extremely gank-based, looking for those team fights early on, so it's going to be an exciting one. They're going to be going head-to-head early. Now, I want to talk more specifically about Pentanet quickly, and Skimmy, you know, as the host, I know you don't know a lot, but please tell me about Pentanet, what you do know.
Well, Pentanet, for me, they are the team hot on the money right now, definitely in the running with Peace to showcase why they are top of the table. And a team that have a lot more experience sort of fighting together at this echelon. You know, they've been playing the game for a very long time, and it seems like they've really upgraded themselves with the addition here of Chaz and Decoy. And after the performance that Predator played, you know, with a 17-0, the first pentakill as well, the ego matches the confidence, matches the performance. It's all there right now, and I'm really excited to see, you know, what they can put on to sort of showcase kind of what we just saw there from Peace. No matter who you're versing, you're playing at this, you know, upper echelon. You're not struggling. You're looking to try and really prove that there is daylight between these teams, because there have been a few games where we've seen that, okay, maybe the gap between these rosters isn't as big as we first thought.
I think it's also like, what is the gap, you know, and how big or small is the gap becoming as weeks go? Because there is so much different stuff in this league, you know, players, orgs, it all feels like there's just so much that's changed. Like PGG should be massive gap between them and the teams that they're versing, just because they have some similar players. We know how good they were in the you know, the years past, but then Order, the young blood, you come in, you don't expect anything from them until like week 5 maybe, where they start to find their own, but they come in completely red hot. And like, is there a gap, or is the gap something that like started small but will grow as, say, the experience of a team like PGG comes in, you know?
Yeah, I want to see how this game goes today, and I feel like Jungle's going to be a heavy point of contention, because Pabu is so good in that position, but then so is Vengeance. So who knows who's going to be going for the early ganks. I'm interested to see, because Pabu's picks in the jungle have been a bit curious, you know, more interesting, because it's not just going for the basic staples. He's going for more counter plays, you know, going for certain picks like Skarner as well, which play into the hand of themselves and fully counter the opposition. So I guess we'll see once we do get to the champ select. But quickly, let's have a quick chat about Order as well. Now, Rusty, do you want to tell me exactly what's going on here and how much you love the posing of Maximize earlier?
How much I love the posing of Maximize? Is that where we're going to start? I physically cringed. I actually just like raisined up the second I saw that video. I respect the man for posting it, but I would never, you know. He is the top laner there for Order. Vengeance, the quiet-spoken man, is the jungler, so a nice little contrast there for them as well. Chungi, a much more facilitative player in mid lane with Puma, who is sponsored by Puma, with the last name Puma, on the AD carry role, and Beats down there in the bot lane. And Puma's actually, back to him just very quickly, is someone that has been playing very well. You know, we can definitely talk about the content machines that's happening up there in Maximize, but I think the quiet achiever has been Puma. You know, he is someone who's played in Oceanic League before at the top level and has actually done very well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always been a player that, for me, has had an expansive roster of what he can play to look to try and upset the balance. You know, we saw, as you saw, the Vayne. One of the only players that played it last year. He's played Cassiopeia in the bot lane before, Draven as well. He's not afraid to stick to the mold of things. And this, for me, sort of develops his own brand that, you know, he is a player to watch, is a player to try and invest into, and is a player that can pop off and, you know, sometimes not actually receive the full limelight, because I definitely feel like a lot of this identity for Order goes towards Vengeance and Maximize. But then you have moments where you go, hang on a minute, and then Puma's just popping off. So really excited to see how these two teams focus, because bot lane for me is once again another big area of focus between these two teams. And going back to the point again about the junglers, like, okay, where will they facilitate? Because we have seen that, you know, Pablo will go down bot lane a lot to look to try and get things online. And they'll have TPs coming in, for example, from Biopanther. Like, they'll be fully investing everything in at, like, you know, the level 4, level 3 mark. But then the same could be said here for Order. You know, they'll be looking to go topside, make sure that Maximize can pop off, that he generates a lot of heat on himself. Almost like he's taunting the opponent to say, come topside, try and make me weak side, and the rest of his team do better as a result. So I'm curious to see how that matchup actually comes to life, Mac.
Yeah, of course. And look, I want to have a closer look at what's been going on with Maximize. In particular, there's been some curious people replying to his social media action.
To take a look at who was going up against you tonight, just so I could say, Biopanther, if you do not beat this boy's ass tonight, if you do not bitch slap him off this face of the planet, then there's no justice on this world. There's no God. There's nothing. Like, what in the world has this man just put our timeline through? And the people who are commenting and liking this shit so it has to spread like some virus worse than COVID? Look, there's only one thing I gotta say to this. Put this in front of... Is there any way to keep this stable?
Oh, rip the fan, rip the fan. And of course, that was Raz, if you guys don't know him. I don't know him personally, but I think you do, Rusty. So
Yeah.
you think he's a bit of a funny fella?
I can say one thing for certain about Raz is, as someone who has been on the receiving end of a Raz video, you don't want it.
Yeah.
That will just ruin your life. Like, if you see the Raz video, tweet, reply, just run away, because he's won the day.
You've heard our opinions on this situation, but let's hear straight from the source. We have Nat down on the sidelines, and I think you've got... Do you have Maximize down there as well?
I am actually lucky enough to not only have Maximize, but also Pabu, who I feel like have been two very big instigators of the Twitterverse banter lately. Guys, thank you for joining me, not only for the interview, but for that content on Twitter. That is just way too good. I'm going to start with you, Maximize, please. I know you heard exactly what the talent was saying. What do you have to say to them, right? Don't worry about Pabu for now. What are you saying to the talent?
Okay, well, first of all, to Raz and Rusty, I'd just like to clarify that the content was ironic. Like, I know I'm full of myself, but I'm not that egotistical that I'm actually just going to wake up and that's going to be something I post. So I appreciate the constructive criticism, guys, but that was not serious. So, yeah.
Maybe one day we'll see the serious blue steel model looks coming from you.
Hopefully.
But Pabu, how are you guys feeling down at Pentanet? And how are you feeling about that content as well?
Good. I love my boy Maximize. You know, it's all in good fun. It's one of the more entertaining things. You know, waking up on the day and finding out, you know, what's gonna hit the timeline, what you're gonna have to respond to. It's always a good time. And yeah, at Pentanet, we're definitely max chilling right now. We're Goomba ready for this game, so I'm keen to play.
I want to ask, your other two games earlier this week when I've interviewed your other teammates, they've been really, you know, relaxed. You're like, we haven't really put in a lot of effort for this game. We're just going to play it as if it's anything else. Is that still the same thought coming up against Order?
To an extent. I mean, there's a few things that you can prepare for with Order. They're definitely fairly one-trick heavy, so certain champions you don't want to draft into, but for a lot of our preparations, some of these teams, it's just so hard to know what they're going to play. There's so few games to look from, and they just like play really strange things in solo queue that aren't really that great in competitive settings. Like, you don't know when it's going to come out, what they're going to prioritize, so it's really hard to like get your prep in order. So we just kind of, you know, focus on us, focus on what we want to play, like make sure that we're ready for the game, and you know, as long as we're like prepared internally, it's really easy to play against whatever we're up against.
That's so good. I mean, it's great to hear. Maximize, though, on the other hand, what about you guys? Obviously, you would have a lot of games and you know, a little bit more knowledge about these guys as they've been in the scene for a lot longer. So how have you guys prepped?
I guess Penset have sort of shown a similar pattern in their last couple games. I think their champion pools are very, very wide open. So it's more about us playing what we want to play rather than us trying to avoid, like, stop them from playing a particular style. It's going to be interesting to see whether Pabu decides to R5 jungle again and pick something spicy, sort of throw a spanner in the works. But I think so far we've just been focusing on playing what we play best, and I think that's going to put us in the best chance to win.
All right, then my last question, I'll start with Maximize, but you'll both be answering this, is who's going to gap harder?
Who's going to gap harder? Wow. Okay, I think, honestly, it really depends on how the draft goes. I think lanes, it's pretty hard between whether Order bot lane's going to gap harder or Order top lane's going to gap harder. That's probably the biggest competition. I mean, it's like Puma and me, right? Like, just unmatched. So it's going to be interesting to see out of those two.
All right, and Pabu, what do you have to say back to that one?
I don't know. Whenever I look at the auto bot lane, I just watch Beats like smack the ground on Alistar, just like mess up his combo every time. And then I look top lane, and it's like Maximize. He's young, he's played for a bit, but I have like the father of top lane in OC, Biopanther. That's like, this guy's unreal. He's been sending over to the Shadow Realm. He wins lane, he TP's bot, he fixes lane on his own. He's 1v2. He just does everything. So I can't imagine that he wins at either side lane.
Okay.
Thank you both so much, and good luck with the game. I really cannot wait to see how this one matches up. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank God we found out it was ironic. Thank you, Maximize, for clearing that one up for us.
Man.
So now we can all laugh at it. Now we don't feel weird laughing at it. All right, that was beautiful. So, you know, great insight there, Nat. And also Pabu just leaking that they're going to be teleporting bot to win bot.
Send him to the Shadow Realm first, though.
Of course, it's a dangerous place to be. Now, that brings us forward. So it's time to have a look at the predictions again. Let's see where everyone's gone with this one. Because I have a funny feeling I've got a different approach to everyone today. Yeah, it seems I don't know why. Just seems like there's something in the water. I have a feeling Order could make it happen. You know, wearing it on the heart. You know, I'm gonna go down with the ship if this goes bad. But if it doesn't, then it's another step towards catching up with everyone, and that's what I want to do. And that'll tie me with at least Nat and Skimmy. That'll be huge, and that's what I care about. You know, catching up and making it look like I know what I'm talking about.
Content Kingdom as well. You can join the Order fan club.
Best place
You're
to
so
be.
going to the Shadow Realm.
So in the Shadow Realm, Rusty, which is where you're going to be sent after this game. What's your thought process down in the shadows for this prediction of Pentanet?
I mean, there's no way they lose, man. That's the prediction reasoning. They're undefeated, man. Why do I need to analyze this when you've picked Order, Mac? Don't try and turn this on me.
I'm just the host, mate. Don't ask me any questions. Thanks. That's my job.
Okay.
Anyway, Nat, tell me, how much fun are you going to have down on the sideline while we watch this game?
I hope that I can just hear so much more coming from Maximize in top lane. That's going to be the lane I'm going to be standing the closest to for sure.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, we'll check back in with you after the game to see how things go and see which team you're actually going to be talking to. Hopefully it's Order. But look, moving forward, it's one step closer to the game, and they already had a quick chat about how the champ selection is going to play out. Order saying they're probably just going to go to what works for them. So I dare say if we get to see that Lilia again on Vengeance, he'll be having a good time in the jungle. And Pabu, you know, the man, he's been called the handyman because he keeps throwing spanners in the works. What do you think he's going to be leaning towards?
I mean, to be honest, the way that the meta has started to shake up, I think does suit Pabu nicely to just stick to those tanky champions. You know, if you give him Viego, he may consider it again. But the Skarner that we saw from him last game, I wouldn't be shocked to just see that again, while he lets the all-father of top lane, as he's now known, unironically just win everything on the map all at once, where Order will be ironically picking the same champions the same time all the time, right?
Well, let's see exactly how the champ select plays out. It is time. Pentanet taking on Order. Match number 2 of the day. Boys, take us in.
Well, we go to big test here, really, for Order more than anybody to try and see if they really do mess with the best. Up against Pentanet.gg today, flawless in their approach and flawless in their confidence towards this one here. We're going to see potentially a different angle come out from Vengeance, as this Lilia has been denied. He's only played that as well as the Hecarim too, so looking to try and force his hand and showcase what he can do. But otherwise, the bans coming out of Pentanet here are pretty blanket, pretty safe, pretty standard. Seraphine and Udyr too.
Yeah, and this is, I would say, very much aligned with what we expected to see from the first draft, to be clear, right? You've got the Thresh ban, the Rel first pick, instantly Kai'Sa Alistar on the other side for Pentanet. That makes perfect sense here. You know, they've got the team fighting supports now going to be matching each other, and Kai'Sa builds in brilliantly with compositions that stack the crowd control on top of each other. So that plays into Pabu or Biopanther being tanks, Chaz being the Orianna, Syndra type of champions. Of course, Syndra banned in the mid lane. Victor fills that exact same role. So everything pretty much on the money here, or to pick their one-trick champions. Pentanet respond with the standard comp.
I certainly do, and I do love to see this Kai'Sa Alistar go into the rail. I just feel like it's such a solid combo and a counter more so than anything to the rail. Obviously, Alistar can help to try and stack up that plasma stack passive, really pump out percentile damage and get the ball rolling here. As Pentanet once again going to roll through this draft really quickly and say, look, we're going to ban away Vayne. No crazy tactics here from Pimino. Upsets, no surprises. We want to play as standard as can be. Pick anything else. Pick something different. Or to say, well, as far as Biopanther is concerned, he's not going to be given a free pass here to farm up, get artifacts, and pass items to the rest of the team.
If you are the best Vayne in League of Legends in its entirety, then Alistar is an easy matchup for you. You can condemn him mid-headbutt and just cancel it out. But realistically, that's just Puma's comfort champion here, right? You'd have a lot of support from what the rest of the comp of Order already has. So you would like to see a hyper carry type of champion come out from him. We know very well at this point that Chungi is super facilitative in the way that he tends to play. So I think a lot of this game will revolve around the Puma Maximize show and how big of a gap exists in those lanes, almost identical to what Maximize was saying in the interview.
Certainly could be, as we'll get to see what the response is to go into this, Camille. We saw Lulu last game. It was an option hover there, but in the end, Biopanther reverts back to an old classic, an old trusty of 2020. Goes for the Scion. Now the question becomes here for Order. They've got to reveal, they've got to showcase us what they want to play in the bot lane, and also worth noting here, Rusty, they've banned away Kindred, so maybe a little cheeky pick either from solo queue or from scrims.
Yeah, I'm thinking just because their comp wants to take them out in one punch, you know, do they add the Jarvan and go for that style composition would make a lot of sense here. Looking at what would go with this when you're looking at AD carries, the fact that Kai'Sa's gone, I don't think Ezreal's enough damage personally. I would have said Jinx, but I suppose this could work. We'll see the direction they choose to go here, but ultimately you want something that can deal a lot of scaling damage.
And that will do it. Jinx is definitely a scaling champion that can pop off.
Now.
There you go. I mean, this is a wombo combo if I've ever seen one, right? You know, you got the Camille and Galio, that is your bread and butter. But to follow things up with, you got the double triangle, Bermuda triangle, whatever you want to call it, of just you will disappear, right? Rel jumps in, Jarvan jumps in, and if that's not enough, then you've got a Jinx in the backline giving all this free damage and a landscape in which that she can run and reset and chase on towards.
Yeah, and it's going to be finished off with a Hecarim here, actually, as the last pick for Pabu. So once again, they give him the R5 choice. The counter pick goes to the way of Mr. Pablo there. And choosing the Hecarim into the Jarvan, I would say is, you know, again, you can farm very well as the Hecarim. You definitely farm faster than that of your jungle opponent. You have very good ganking as well when you have the Ghost and probably the Predator also, and just sprint your way into lanes. You can also get out of the combo that Order have got. You're basically unstoppable when you use that Onslaught of Shadows there with the Hecarim ult to get yourself out of all of the CC that's locking them down. So it's good engage, it works well with the comp, but they already have the Scion, they already have the Alistar to go in. And most importantly, it's good complementary damage and physical damage as well to be on the top side of the map. And that does annoy a Galio, you know, quite a bit.
I suppose my main question now becomes, how reliant are Order then on looking to try and hit those level 6s? Because obviously we can see that there is a big wombo combo that presents itself, but there is going to be a little bit of time before that can obviously come to the forefront. And we've seen how aggressive, as we touched on already, Pentanet can be around those early dragons at the 5-minute market, those early ganks in the bottom side where Predator has been a focus, that they will TP and they will sacrifice lane, as Pabu highlighted before. The the man, the guy, whatever you want to call him, the machine, the daddy, the guy will do it all. BioPanther will come on bot lane and get things sorted out. I lost the plot already.
Bio
the plot already, Rusty, but he gets it done.
That's the name. We're shipping it. If he pops off, it's the Bio Daddy.
It's clipped and shipped. It's gone already.
But yes, to your point about being level 6 Reliant, it's definitely something that has to be considered here. We've seen these compositions from, not from Order specifically, but around the world, these style of comps that Order is running often. And a lot of the game plan when you've picked the Jarvan in these comps to like fully cement the Wombo style is how do you get to 6 as the jungler? Because that tends to be the biggest point of problems, where often the Galio can't force priority, often the Camille can't force priority in the early game. You really can't do half your jungle if that's the case. And if you think back to the first game of the day, almost a similar prospect in my mind, right, is if they don't have priority in their lanes, Pabu runs away with so much more than just his own jungle. It could be the entire map. He could snowball the game out of control. And if that's happening while bot lane's left on a 2v2 island, we get to see the true skill matchup potentially of Praedyth and Puma with Decoy and Beats down there assisting.
I'm sure that's what the viewers at home want right now. They want to see a skill matchup. They want to see a pop-off. They want to see which lane can get Parta, and they want to see which team has the momentum to prove that they are better on the team. There was an interview already coming into this one, a little quote there from Puma saying that, look, I definitely think Pentanet are a top 2 team, but I feel like on the day we can beat them. We can prove it. We can showcase that we belong in that conversation. And, well, right now there's definitely going to be some matchups that allow you to showcase that on an individual as well as a teamwork scale. We're going to bring in Calvin here, the coach of Order. And I want to open up the front, so I suppose, first of all, more than anything, with the question that Pabu raised in his interview about the fact that your team is a little bit one-dimensional. I mean, we're seeing a few picks here come back time and time again. Is that a fair assessment, do you think?
I mean, why change picks when we're having success with it, right? I think that's probably just my answer. And like talking about like more one-dimensional, I think Pentanet is even more one-dimensional. Like the way they draft, we're the same every single game, going for the bot lane plus the mid lane in the first 3 and then leaving the jungle to the last pick. Like I feel like they are the more one-dimensional team.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Along that vein then, you've picked a very one-dimensional type of composition into Pentanet. Is this definitely like a planned strategy you figured because of the way that they draft? You could just draft like the stronger R button comp and be able to take it to them in team fights?
I actually think we have more ways to play this game than Pentanet because, like, obviously we have the Camille Galio, the Jarvan Galio, even the Rel Galio. However, like, there's no champion on Pentanet's side that can actually match the Camille in the side lane. So, like, not only we have this, like, option to team fight, but we also have this option to just play split push, and they cannot ever match us.
Yeah, and that would probably come into effect at around the 2 to 3 item point mark, right? So the way that I would look at this game, and feel free to chime in here as well, is I would probably trying to be making sure that Maximize has the best experience possible. But wouldn't that put a lot of pressure then onto Puma, who would have to try and survive in that side lane to still have the team fighting comp?
Yeah, I think like definitely, banning out the Vayne and the Xayah does mean, we expected the Hecarim to be picked from Pabu. But I think Puma is really confident on his Jinx, and also Rel is a really good champion in terms of just counter-engaging. So I'm confident in Puma's ability to maneuver through the team fighting phase, and also Beats and Chang'e's ability to just counter-engage.
Beautiful. Final question for myself here, Calvin. How have the boys been finding, obviously, first Soup Week? You've definitely been proving a lot of the Twitter analysts wrong so far with your performances in both early to mid to late, and obviously got yourself in a flying start here with 3 and 1. How much importance really goes into a matchup against this, when you're versing the current top 2?
Yeah, I think, Pentanet is going to be one of the more challenging matchups. However, I think the team, like, overall, we're just confident. Going into this split, we knew that we will be one of the better teams, if not, one of the top teams. So, I think this match, although, it is very important to us, but like, I don't think the team is feeling that much pressure. I feel like, all we need to do is just play like we play in practice, and we should be able to come out ahead.
Love to hear it. Well, thanks for your insight there, Calvin. We're going to jump into the game and check in with Rusty to see what we've missed so far. And Anything crazy, or was it just been standard jungle pathing so far?
I honestly was focused on the interview more this time, Skibby. But there wasn't anything crazy that has happened so far. The first thing that you would look at is the jungle experience, or CS, that we've got between both these junglers. You know, the Jarvan and the Hecarim have matched each other. They've gone for basically the level 4 full clears. A lot of the map does start to open up when you get your first base on a Galio to alleviate some of that pressure for a Jarvan, maybe get around, get some ganks off. But so far, with the red buffs that we've seen, you know, what would be the first real gank opportunities, nothing has come from it just yet. You can see Pabu, with his first look, spots a ward.
Certainly does. Both have shown that they can gank if they get an opportunity. Both have gone back for a full buy, a full shot. One for a pickaxe and the other here for a sheen. So definitely trading potential available if need be. But both have put a little bit more time into counter jungling and looking to try and get level 6 as quickly as possible. We've already seen this kind of angle from Pabu before when he played the game as Shyvana. Needs level 6 more than anything. And you know, it's not necessarily that you need to hit the level 3 gank and punish from there. You could be waiting for that level 6 moment and give your laners a free pass to exert their pressure before then.
From the looks of it in top lane there as well, it's just going to be a free reset for Maximize. He's also going to be walking his way back up to top lane. This is happening while Vengeance is invading the Krugs. So this is exceptionally greedy from the Jarvan, who will have to disengage the area. Tries to sneak away one too many camps, perhaps, when he has 3 up and alive on his own side of the map. So Pabu's going to be able to not only spot the jungler, but take the camp, get a lot of good knowledge, and be able to use that accordingly. They know that the Camille was gone. So the advantage that ORD get is that Maximize gets that teleport still existing while having a shot, but he does fall behind in CS and the wave gets pushed, which ultimately, if BioPanther wants to base, he could do the same thing right now.
Certainly could. First objective is available there. It is a Mountain Dragon, but neither team have shown any form of interest. Both very much still focused on getting as much power through items, XP, advantages, and skill points too, as level 6s start to come on through, and now we might start to see what that means. It's going to mean, at least for Pentinet's side, that they'll start up the Dragon. But that's not going to be without Vengeance poking his head in and revealing with the Scry's Orb.
Yeah, and an early call there from the looks of it by Chaz, highlighting the fact that Chungi had gone missing very early before he even gets a chance to look at the Drake pit. Pabu starts to disengage, so good comms. You can see the ward there actually placed by Chaz being the biggest determining factor there. So I guess it's just an attempt to sneak more than anything else. You know, good vigilance from Order ensures that that will not be something that is completely free. At the end of the day, nothing comes from it. But a cheeky little attempt, and we like to see that. You know, we like to see teams test the water, but do it accordingly. They don't throw everything into that test.
Not overextending right now, and it almost feels to me like there's a fair degree of respect now being shown between these two teams from these opening few minutes. One of the more passive early games we've had so far here in the LCO, with nothing crazy, nothing reckless in terms of diving, forcing a hand, very content to say that we know what each other's team comps represent, what they can possess, and what they can achieve. And it really becomes one of those situations where it's not so much a case of what will happen, but more so when it will happen.
And so to take stock of a couple of things that we're really looking for here as well, Skimmy. In terms of mid lane, Merc Treads is a really big break point for the Galio. As you can see, he just picks them up. As he has the Predator and now has magic resistance and movement speed to navigate the lane. Does mean that he'll be able to, at around the same time, hit level 7 and push, but Max might be in trouble.
He certainly might be right now. Does he have hookshot available? He's going to force the flash out of that one. Still actually collects the damage from the big knock-up Q there. And now that's a flash gone, and a big wave soon to crash, and thankfully for him, he has some potions, has some biscuits, can stay around and collect attacks and make sure that he stays even here with BioPanther, but a nice little trade to start things off with.
Yeah, and staying even does still mean in essence that BioPanther is able to get another free recall without the need of a teleport. So ultimately it is a win for BioPanther. Getting the flash does of course mean that Pabu could consider coming up to that top lane, trying to pressure him from here on out. So there's a few minutes of really dangerous gameplay ahead for Maximize up in top lane. But the other item that I was going to refer to before it happens for us on screen was the choice of the early Bramble Vest here by BioPanther. So really ensuring that he's strong in lane, you know, that early life steal that's picked up by Maximize, now only relevant for minions, and does slow down his spike timings. He
does. 40% healing chunk is nothing to laugh about right now. Going to do wonders in these trades, especially given that both have run the Grasp rune page. So looking to try and get themselves as healthy, sustained, and topped up to be beefy in these later trades. Still 9 minutes into this one, and nothing to be said in terms of engagements, be it team fights, kills, skirmishes, or objectives. But once again, we do see Order sniffing around by the Dragon Pit and looking to bully out Pabu.
Yeah, the Scuttle Crab will be secured. Of course, Pabu, like you mentioned, is going to be pushed away. Dragon definitely not something to be looked at just yet. This is an exceptionally calm game of League of Legends. The gold isn't swinging in any direction. We have hit those level 6 breakpoints that are crucial for both of these teams. And in terms of what we had with Coach Calvin here from Order, that one-dimensional gameplay that he believes Pentanet have, as well as themselves, to be fair, is something that we're really waiting to see shine or prosper in any moments just yet. And you know, you would expect it to be at a Herald or a Drake fight as that big moment, but neither team forcing the agenda yet.
Yeah, most quite content just farming the waves, looking to get any kind of micro advantages through trading or looking to acquire turret plates, but the neutrals themselves are definitely being left to their own devices, and this is almost uncharacteristic of what we've seen in the past here, where they've been very much so all about forcing their fights, looking to try and ego on their opponent, look to try and get advantages before objectives like this. But it is going to be Vengeance that goes in for the Dragon there, followed up here by Decoy, going for the pulverized combination. That's going to be then Beach jumping in as a result. Magnet Storm goes out, looking to try and do whatever he can to lock people in place. Flashing away! One more auto will do it. Praetor gets it, flashes away, but lands in a Cataclysm. First blood, 1 and 2, traded either side, but it's a fight that's so far working in favor here for Order. Both top laners TP in, but it's Maximized that picks up an all-important kill.
And this fight happens with knowledge that Pabu's not there. He's doing Krugs on the opposite side of the map. They still choose to make the play down there, Pentanet.gg. I suppose they didn't think that the Jarvan would be right there at the Drake pit, but here we go again. Puma, he's got the Galio.
They still want more. That's a magic shield, a flash, a taunt, a chance to try and catch up by Pepper. He goes for his ultimate. That means he's unstoppable. He's going to fall on down eventually. He flashes forward to try and get a bit of extra distance here with his afterlife. It proves to be decisive. He finds one. He finds his second. He's punching. He's wailing away here at the members of Order as Pabu drifts on through with the onslaught. He doesn't have much left in the tank, but one final charge will take down Jarvan. And a game that was so passive suddenly burst into life.
And the fight duration just so long there as well, Skimmy, that it's able to get a Pabu from Krugs, recall, walk down towards the Dragon and still be able to find multiple members of Order because they look to re-engage a second time. We'll see the trade down here in bottom lane. The Hail of Blades, huge for Praedyth in damage output onto beats. Note that Praedyth has his ult this entire time, but just never found the opportunity to hit someone other than the Rel who he just killed. So no way out of that one, and unfortunately wastes the flash. And that's the point where you've got your teleports coming, you think, okay, fight's done. Maybe the Dragon goes the way of Order and we call it a day, but that wasn't the case. You know, Pabu comes in clutch as well, and now has his completed mythic item after getting 2 kills, or 1 kill and 2 assists.
Yeah, he's to be very happy about that one. A lot of sustain comes out from the Divine Sunderer. But yeah, just such a crazy early fight to finally kick off this match as we find 7 kills and well, just a ton of summoners being burnt to commit to try and find any kind of advantage. It was far too calm for these teams' likings. Finally, that has been exploded upon, has finally come to life, and it's going to mean that Order are the ones that can then pick up a Dragon as the second reward.
Yeah, but it is interesting to me that, again, the reason that fight started isn't what you would expect so much as it was just laning trades. You know, Praedyth and Decoy saw their moment, they took it, and that was ultimately what started everything. While Vengeance was doing the Drake, they stop it to start that fight. So the floodgates just kind of opened from a small look in there by Praedyth and Decoy. At the end of the day, you have to look at what was used. There was a few ultimates burned there, but Summoner Spells more than anything else is what is currently missing. Maximize the only active flash available here for the side of Order, as here they go.
They're looking for another one. The ultimate's there for the Hecarim if they can find it right now. There's a 2-man Cataclysm Praedyth looking at Killer Instinct to try and disengage away. He's going to fall on down. The burn is too strong. Out comes the Chaos Storm as Chaz means business. Super Mega Death Rocket. This doesn't do enough. There's no reset potential there. And Beats looks for a reset angle. He just can't find it. But here comes Chungy. No ultimate, no TP. He's unable to do much other than rotate from mid using the Predator boots.
You know, I feel like very tragically here for Vengeance, I think his flag drag got cancelled by the stun from the Victor. So it wasn't buffered after the stun. I think the stun stopped him as he started it. So they do get the Jarvan as a result of that. We just spoke about the summoner spells that were missing for the side of Order. Similar thing here, to be fair, for Praedyth as he goes down in that trade. Didn't have the flash, only had the ultimate. So they're able to still get that trade there, Order. And overall, we'll get to see this one more time as it is just the trade. You know, the Jarvan ult comes in. They lock down Praedyth easy as you would like. Ultimately, they will get that one. And Vengeance is the person I'm looking at here because he flags and drags. It just doesn't move. So I do feel like maybe that was the frame perfect stun or he just completely whiffed. But I'm willing to give him benefit of the doubt here, Skippy.
I'm sure he's happy to hear those words right now, as he'll be looking to showcase what he can do as this game continues, and just the sort of the impact that both these junglers had, at least the bruises, the engagers of both teams, with one key target in mind: take down the AD carry. Pray for the focus, but then Puma zoned out and unable to do much more than pop an ultimate and hope for a reset. And they needed it because it was Puma that was actually sitting on the mythic item advantage at that stage. He had the completed Kraken Slayer, whereas Praedyth only had components. Regardless, at the 15-minute mark exactly, PGG will slightly pull away here as they've built themselves up a 2k lead.
Yeah, it's worth highlighting that where the vision is placed for both teams, it's much more defensive from Order and it's still very neutral from PGG. So they have control of the river where the dragon will be spawning. They still have control of the Herald until that's cleared out by Order. That's a lot of space that they are creating for themselves here to be able to continue to play aggressively, you know, use the comp that they have, find the Hecker and flanks of the ult, and they've got a Galio.
They've called out Chungy right now. He is hoping that that flash comes up anytime soon. It's taunting him. It was up in about 10 seconds, but it's not going to be enough for him to survive that situation. Caught out in his own jungle, vision to a T. Look at that bottom half of the map right now, lit up like a Christmas tree in red.
That's pretty disrespectful, to be fair, as well, from Chungy. He's on the opposite side of the map to where the rest of his team was placing vision at the time. They just crossed over to mid, so I think he was trying to collapse with his team, but it came from his weak side, and that's where they're able to exploit that one. You know, Kai'Sa ultimate with a Hecarim, lock him down, and Galio gone. No Drake contest ever going to be considered here, as we have our soul for the game.
We certainly do. An Infernal Soul, you just love to see it. We've heard Pabu before be very angry when it's anything other than an Infernal Soul. When you've had a very solid early game, it feels like the biggest reward and the bonus to try and seal the deal. It's going to be two dragons, or the second dragon going the way of Pentanet, I should say, as Order then trade out the kill that was found in their fallen mid laner by picking up the Herald.
Now, the Herald most likely you would expect will be used into a side lane to try and benefit Maximize here. You know, traditionally you want those Heralds to be placed to try and break mid structures. That's possible, depending on how they choose to play this one. Victor does make clearing mid tower impossible. So there might be a world where they actually do choose to prioritize putting that mid, but in terms of where they want to give gold, you 100% are looking at Maximize. In terms of where they want to give space on the map, 100% looking at Maximize. So very interested to see what they choose to do here, because they might just take the easy option of a charge on mid lane. However, post 14 minutes, less gold.
And I think there's no better example than what you were literally just describing there by the investment of the vision that Order themselves are placing, which links between mid and top side there. You can see that Decoy cleared out a couple, but there is still one sitting on Pentanet's red buff. And that is an angle for them to look or utilize information-wise to ensure that whenever Maximize does play to the side lanes, he can play so effectively. The map flips again. Bot side goes top. We'll get to see exactly how these teams decide to try and keep up this tempo, because as it stands so far, unless there's really an objective there or somebody gets caught on vision, it's been very much stay to your lane, keep to your ideas, and pick up farm.
In your lane and focused. I would say at this point in the game, however, it's probably, I would say it's the most crucial point. You've got your summoner spells back up for pretty much everyone here now. You have your ultimates. You don't have objectives currently. So realistically, what we're looking at is 3 minutes of setup time, right? Like, this is the next 3 minutes may not do anything. It may be a team fight. But whoever wins this one is now going to be the person who gets the lead with all of the summoner spells available and being used. So you can start to snowball massively out of control from that team fight win. Again, most likely would rather see this at the Infernal Dragon in 3 minutes, but it's possible that mistakes happen. You know, the way that PGG have been controlling the vision around the Rift when they force that vision does make it hard for Order to move.
Certainly is right now. You can see that they are keeping Maximize on an island, making sure that he can focus on farming up that second item to really become the powerhouse that a Camille can be and showcase that this is why he is known for this champion. As far as it goes in terms of micro victories, Pentanet were able to successfully steal away the blue buff. So that's both Parbu as well as Chaz that have the buff to their name.
I think we should also point out that it's actually 4,000 gold difference still in favor of PGG, and a lot of that is mid. When you're actually highlighting that difference in farm, that's significant, right? And it's not just Chungy getting caught out once going to the jungle, it's the fact that Victor has been planted mid the entire time, clearing the waves that Puma and Beats are just pushing into him. We will see the Herald actually put in mid lane, however. That should be most of the turret, if not all of it. Max already here, Skimmy.
It looks like they've identified that mid condition going a little bit out of hand right now. They're going to summon it, as you say, but it's not going to be enough to one-shot it. Especially not when Pentanet are there to respond and dissuade any autos going its direction. So that stays alive for the meantime. Continued reset potential, farming, item spikes, and the like, as we have our first Infernal Dragon spawning in just under, well, soon to be 60 seconds. Looking towards who can find themselves that second item first to really give themselves that edge, as the majority of Mythics have soon been completed. Obviously, support players still bleeding, still wishing, but unfortunately for them, Ward machines.
Yeah, both of them don't really need a mythic item, though, to be relevant. Alistar with ult, Rel with her full combo as well. They're both just going to be super strong teamfight engage tools, and they're both very hard to actually kill if they find the engage. So really, I would say that the big win here is that the turret doesn't fall in mid for PGG. Instead, they're actually going to take that turret away from Order, and a lot of this is reset timings, ease of access to waves. It's suddenly, you know, they get vision control on top of this, and this dragon that might have been a point of contest and may still be, is significantly harder for Order to get to than it is for Pentanet, who have absolute control of that red quadrant.
Walking into the jungle, clearing out what was placed defensively before here by Order and replacing it with their own. They can sense that another fight is imminent. Now it's all about finding the best angle possible. We've seen surprise tactics like this happen beforehand. We've seen them have fights like this in mid lane before. You know that the dragon is there to be taken. You know that there's an opportunity to try and find that fight, but it's a case of who are you looking to try and target and collapse upon. Dragon's gone. Could have been picked up right now, but that's not going to be enough for Order to say we're giving up this one. Maximize still taunting from the flank. He's sitting on vision, bear in mind. He knows it. Out goes the taunt. That's only onto one member right now. Biopanther in trouble. Onslaught goes on through, stunning out two. That's going to be Kai's picking up a third kill so far. Killer Instinct for getting a double kill. Praedyth finding his moment to shine right now. Can he find a triple kill? He's on the hunt. The rest of his team are there to follow things up with. They're going to chase on through, and it's going to be Pubba that picks up that kill. And that's the kill that you're after. That's the snowball effect you want to see. And that's an easy transition from bot to Baron.
Yeah, and that should most likely just be a Baron completely uncontested here by Order. No way to get entry to this area whatsoever. You can see Maximize goes bot lane. Chungy's just going to try and hold mid. Baron will be secured here by Pentanet.gg. And that is the risk that you take if you try and force a fight at the Drake when you have no priority. You try your best to get in, but it's already gone. You look for the closest target, but it's a Scion. And suddenly you're stuck in this position that you're like, what am I doing? Like, why are we actually taking this fight? The dragon's already gone, and then PGG engage on you and it's all over. So you see this one more time, you know, Puma gets hit by the onslaught of shadows, gets pushed back towards the team, Killer Instinct's there. Note that the first kill had already happened before Parbu was able to even do any of that. And Beats being dismounted off his armor will just walk very slowly, and it's easy pickings for the side of PGG. Easy team fight, honestly, for them as well.
Felt like a bit of horse-on-horse jousting action there between the Hecarim and the Rel. Parbu comes out ahead, takes it down, and continues his flawless streak so far. He's up 3-0-4 right now. A lot of gold available there for Pentanet in the terms of bounties. And just like that, Rusty, I mean, this gold lead completely ballooned out of control right now. It's up by 7k, and Praedyth saying, look, I can showcase what I can do, going for a 1v1 to maximize. The Hextech ultimatum gets matched by an angry bee saying you had no chance whatsoever. And a 2-item spike power for Camille just isn't enough. Forget that notion for 1 second, because Parbu's in trouble, but that's the kit. And that's the get out of jail free card.
And something we mentioned in draft as well, you know, just presses R, gets himself out to safety. At the same time, Maximize has already been taken down. Baron buff in their pockets means they will be able to push this one in, no problems at all. The question is, would they be able to actually pressure it? With a Galio nearby, very hard to do. So they're going to play the slow approach with a Scion sitting in mid lane, pushing 2 waves at once. I think always take the option, if you can, of pushing more than 1 wave in League of Legends. A lot of people don't do that. You can see textbook stuff here so far from PGG.
Certainly is. They're getting a lot of value right now out of this Baron buff. They've still got another 60 seconds on it, so plenty of time to look to try and take down an inhibitor and find more. Biopanther's still locked in mid lane right now as the inhibitor gets dropped down to 50%, and they'll just let this cannon minion put in the work right now as they protect. And Vengeance says it's time to go. He jumps in with the Cataclysm. He dies before the Galio even can come in to aid him. Praetor picks up the first kill. Killer Instincts into the backline, looking to try and 1v2. He finds a double kill. Now taking out Jinx. Is it a triple? It certainly is. Make it another, and just make it an ace. Why not? Just like that, Rusty. The game was so even. The game was so close, but at 25 minutes in, Pentanet say enough is enough. Baron push or not, we'll just win the game. And that they do. A heartbreaking defeat here for Order, but a victory that came out of nowhere.
We are really reducing the game times here tonight, Skibby. 24 minutes on the clock, almost identical to game number 1. Clean, cohesive play out of the side of Pentanet.gg. Easy as you would like. They get the small leads from farm advantages. You know, you start to see them poke away at mid CS difference, and the game just explodes out of control from there.
Such a weird game from what we sort of expected. We knew that there were definitely points of expertise, I suppose, is the best way to look at it, with Order focusing top side, with Pentanet focusing bot side, but it really was that handshake gentleman's agreement of let's just wait for a moment. 11 minutes comes in, the fight explodes, and then just one Baron buff, one small mistake. I mean, if you roll back the clock a few minutes there, Rusty, that all started from an unforced fight after a dragon had already been taken. It hurts to see, and Mac, unfortunately, mate, that shirt has to come off.
Right now? No. Not on broadcast, unfortunately. I feel like we'll all get banned, and then I'll get in big trouble. So it's going to stay on just for the moment. But look, that was 10 minutes of not a lot, and then 12 minutes or 13 minutes of a whole lot of action and a whole lot of PGG just slightly, a lot of the time, getting those leads. I think it all started with that first fight. Order managed to get the I think it was a 3-for-2 trade. And then because they overstayed a little bit too long, Pabu comes in and is just the full cleanup crew. So not only is he the handyman, he's the whole damn crew.
There's the janitor comes in here as well. I mean, you're not wrong there. It looked good for Order at the very start here. And I think this is that point where you say, we're good. You know, we've taken out 2, we can leave. Chunky's just hovering to protect, but they do stay for so long that they're able to give those kills over. And I think that's what opens the gate, you know, and just opening it even a little bit for the best team in the league or one of the top 2 teams in the league is a lot.
Yeah, and just even the fact that they managed to get the first dragon, you know, Order, there's many things that went their way, you know, a little bit of counter jungling coming in. And I was just so surprised that for the first 10 minutes, we didn't see any early game action. It just seemed like neither team wanted to be the first to slip up and initiate or potentially make that mistake. So, you know, some very safe gameplay, but once PGG had a slight power spike, you better believe they took that one. And even here, I was still halfway through eating my dinner, and then I was like, oh my God, the game's over. What's going on here? So,
and that's what's so crazy for me, though, Mac, is the fact that, you know, such a small error can really, as Rusty highlighted on the cast, snowball into something so much more. I mean, that is literally an unforced fight, a fight to try and take a dragon that's already gone, into a reset, into a Baron, into a collapse, into one team fight where you're pushing 2 lanes. And I think Order felt threatened, hey, look, we have to do something here. So we either just handshake and say, look, you take 2 inhibitors, and we'll just look to like try and slowly bring ourselves back into this game. Or was the power spikes by that point just too far out of control? Because I think it was like 7 or 8K going into that siege. So the game was already pretty much up against them. So it felt like a losing situation. I don't hate that Order went in. I think it was still the right move for them to do. But just by that point, too many differences between the power levels of both teams.
Yeah, I'd be looking at timing for this for me, for Order, right? Like they knew they wanted to fight at the Dragon. It was something that we spoke about as well just prior, but they're too late. You know, they don't have vision control set up in time because Pentanet are like 20 seconds faster. And that was all it took, right? They have the vision, suddenly the game starts to just explode because they still try and force it. So timing was a pretty big thing for me.
It was interesting as well that they managed to get that Vayne ban out as well as the Lilia, which I feel like is the key point. Now, no Lilia means no win for Order. Every other time that Vengeance has managed to get that Lilia, you know, they've just been so strong on the initiation. Jarvan just didn't seem to be the same.
I didn't actually know that, so you're correct, yeah. They've only won with Lilia. Yep. Well, I mean, he's still tried to engage. I will say, Mac, the big difference is that you can engage by just bowling balls down lanes as Lilia, so it's a lot safer, and you can do it from further away.
Yeah, well, I guess that's something that they can think about. I'm still confused, you know, maybe they just didn't want to see that Vayne picked up by Order. However, I would say this was the most normal-looking champ select coming out from PGG so far. Everything relatively normal, except I'd say the Victor kind of caught me off guard, but as you mentioned, it is just such a solid champ to hold mid.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like, it's not the first time they've actually played the Victor either. It was their first game of the split where they did play it. It fills the role, right? And that's actually, like, the fact that it's a normal draft for me, that's absolutely true. Their last game was almost identical in terms of identity, and that hasn't changed. So I think Order's coach, Calvin's spot on. They're one-dimensional, but it's a well-rounded single dimension in terms of comps, and it hasn't been beat.
Yeah.
So why would you change that?
Exactly. And look, we can ask that question straight to the horse's mouth because we have Nat down on the sidelines, and I believe you've got Pradith there today.
I do. For a change, instead of having him for pre-game, I now have him for post-game. Congratulations on yet another win for you guys. Talk me through, how was it down in bot lane?
Thank you. I don't know. I think we just played the laning phase out. I think this is definitely a game I just relied on my teammates to carry the early game, and kind of just, I don't know, the game kind of just played itself out. It was actually really, really boring to play, but I mean, I still got 7 kills, so I guess there was a little bit of action still.
Yeah, it felt like, you know, all of a sudden the game just ended and you guys were out there with the win. But I want to go all the way to the start, to the draft. Can you guys talk me through a little bit more about why you picked who you did and why you guys are so confident, like, on that composition?
Honestly, normally our draft meetings go for a while and we're like kind of worried about what they're going to do and stuff, but with Order it kind of felt like we knew exactly what they were going to do. I think we, like, every time they locked in a champ, we immediately knew what we wanted to lock in, and we basically immediately knew we won the game, like, off the draft anyways, because we're just comfortable playing like that. We knew that if they were going to beat us, it wasn't gonna be like how they drafted. So I don't know, we're just very, very confident, and that's probably why the game looked like such a stomp.
Is it a case of you guys just have a wide, like, a range of champs that you can play, or that draft just really fell into your hands of, like, who you got to pick?
Yeah, we can play like a lot of different styles or whatever, but it's just like we just looked at what Order's drafting. We just looked at, like, their power picks. As I said, like, our draft meeting was like 15 minutes. It normally goes for like an hour or whatever. So we knew that, like, we just banned Lilia. This guy looks like he's lagging a little bit when he's playing Jarvan. So we basically knew exactly what they were gonna do. Yeah. So and then we can do whatever we want with our picks. So just pick whatever.
Yeah, that's so good to hear. Thank you for that. I do have one last question, though, before I let you go. What time did you wake up tonight? Because I heard you woke up at 5 p.m. the other day.
All right. So last night I said, let's have a draft meeting at 4. There's a chance I'll change that to 5 because I might be waking up late. But I stuck to my guns and we had the draft meeting at 4. But immediately after the draft meeting, it finished at like 4:15. I went and had a nap till 6:15. So I've only been up for an hour, it looks like. So I'm kind of struggling a little bit in that game. So yeah.
Well, look, I'm very proud of you. That's 2 wins today, not only in the game, but for waking up for your meeting at 4 p.m. So congrats on that one, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much.
It all makes sense. So they just stalled for 10 minutes so Praedyth could wake up, and that's when they put their foot on the accelerator.
That must have been it. The early game, he was just still drinking his coffee.
Yeah,
That's it, eh?
exactly.
I can't believe that you got to say to someone, congratulations for making a 4 p.m. meeting. Like, ever. Like, what? That's like
It felt like a
7 hours
therapy
into a
session
day.
when that's like, well done, positive affirmation, right? You woke up an hour earlier, good for you. I'm proud of you. And then in the middle of the game, you decided to, okay, maybe we should start playing at 10 minutes in. That's crazy.
Look, an
I like that.
hour extra every day, and you might just make it on time for playoffs.
Well, there you go. So you've managed to expose Praedyth and his gamer hours. So, you know, go congratulate yourself, Nat, and we'll see you for the pre-game coming up after the break.
I will, thank
All right, well, that brings us one step closer to game number 3 of the night, which is going to be potentially another banger. Who knows? Will we see Legacy finally get that W on the board? I guess we'll let you all sit on that question, and we'll try to answer it after this. So stay hydrated, and we'll see you shortly for match number 3.
Starting out 2, that's going to be Kai's picking up the 3rd skill so far. Killer instinct for getting a double kill. Praedyth finding his moment to shine right now. Can he find a triple kill? He's on the hunt. The rest of his team are there to follow things up with. They're going to chase on through. It's going to be Pulse they protect. And Vengeance says it's time to go. He jumps in with the Cataclysm. He dies before the Geller even can come in to aid him. Praedyth picks up the 1st kill. Killer instincts into the back line. Looking to try and 1v2. He finds a double kill. Now taking out Jinx. Is it a triple? It certainly is. Make it another. And just make it an ace. Why not? Just like that, Rusty. The game was so even. The game was